the first guest has logged in twice. So I don't know which one he wants to be on. I'm going to do both, and then he can click off whichever one he doesn't want. But hopefully there won't be any background noise, because that's one of the challenges when you have two devices logged on. One of them is still going, and we don't want to have background noise. So our first guest is uh, I'm gonna try Chinedu Achebe, but I don't know if I said it right or not. So I may have been totally wrong. And
I
I don't
think it's Chinedu Achebe. I
Achebe.
think he'll tell
Yeah,
us
I
whether
thought
we're
it was
right.
like a key. But anyway, he's gonna tell us how to pronounce his name. And so um welcome to Black Authors Matter TV. And can you tell us your name?
Chinedu Achebe.
Oh, it was
Achebe.
close. Achebe.
She was closer than I was. So,
All good.
Well, I won't forget it. I'll tell you that.
yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, welcome to the
One of those
show.
names.
I'm sorry, what did you say?
I said it's one of those names.
It is at the first and the last name. I think we got
Yeah,
the first name right. It's more phonetically, it's more phonetic in terms of it sounds like it's spelled. Um,
yeah.
but anyway, welcome to the show and congratulations on your accomplishments.
No,
I
thank
know
you. I appreciate it.
you received an award for one of your books. The award was the 2023 Independent Press Award.
Yeah, for the
So
message. Yeah.
so the miseducation of and you can pronounce that name too because
Obi Fanye.
okay. Oh, funny. Okay, now tell us about that award. I don't know if that's one I've heard of.
Oh, it's mostly for independent authors. So it's an indie author award. So they recognize a lot of different indie authors. So
Okay,
um,
because there is one called the Indie Author Award. There's
yeah,
one
there's
called that, and then there's one called the Indie. I think it's Indie Excellent Authors Award.
yeah, I'm
I know the
familiar with
word
that.
excellence is in there because I was a finalist for one of my books and that for one of my children's books for that
Okay,
award.
well, congrats on
Well,
that.
thank you. Thank you.
Is this
So
someone's birth? Y'all are wearing
yeah, we're wearing our
is something
birthday
going
crown. Okay,
on?
okay? Our birthdays are 9 days apart, so every year in June in the show, where that's between our birthdays, we wear our crown. So my birthday was Friday, June 20th, and
Okay.
Rhonda's is Sunday, June 29th.
Okay. Well, happy birthday, belated.
Something.
Happy birthday in
Thank
advance.
you.
Thank you.
That's something that we share in common, and that was kind of just coincidental. We didn't realize that until I think the first June that we had the show.
Right.
And that was when we realized that our birthdays were so close together. But you
No,
know,
that's awesome.
that might explain why we're compatible. Although, as I told Rhonda, me and Cancer females, sometimes there's friction. But
Oh.
I don't have friction with Rhonda. It must be because she's at the beginning of the Cancer. She's not
Okay, so it
yeah,
Yeah,
depends
I'm
not
on
not.
a
the
Cancer.
okay.
Yeah, I'm not a July Cancer.
Yeah, she's not
Okay,
a
so there's
July
different. Okay,
Cancer.
okay. All right.
So anyway, enough about us. Let's hear about your book. And one thing that you mentioned in your bio, you're Nigerian American,
Yeah.
and that's your name is Nigerian, I'm assuming. And also, you were born in Richmond, Virginia.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and that's close to my hometown of Newport News, Virginia.
Okay, yeah, VA. Yeah,
Mhm.
I was there for about I was there about 6 years. So I was born there. My dad, he was a professor, so we moved all over. So we moved to Connecticut, then moved to Pennsylvania, and then uh
Okay,
moved to he got a position in San Antonio, and then so I was there in high school, and then when I started for college, I moved to Houston, went to U of H, and I've
okay,
been in Houston since. I haven't left.
okay,
Right.
okay. Well, I'm in Houston, so that's where I live.
Okay,
Been here
yeah,
for many years. That's where the show was broadcast from.
okay.
And
Well,
so
it's good. It's good to
yeah.
represent H time.
Yeah, I didn't realize
There
that
you
until I
go.
looked at your stuff. That you were in well, you're in Missouri City. That's
Just Southwest Houston. That's all.
it is. It is. It
Just
is. It's
Southwest
about
Southwest Houston. That's all.
it's an hour from where I live though.
Oh, Houston.
And no
Where you
traffic.
at?
And no traffic. I'm far northwest. So FM
Ooh, nah, I don't go.
1960.
Oh yeah, I don't go out.
It's
Yeah.
like a whole nother state.
That's
Really. I mean, it's a
it
trip.
feel no, Houston, you feel like
Yeah.
you're on the north side. Like people like you on the north side. I'm like, only when if I gotta go to IH. Outside of that, I don't
Right.
really
The
go north
airport.
side. My job is in Memorial City Mall, so I'm in that
Oh,
area.
okay.
But
So all your
yeah,
stuff is on
but
the south side of town.
yeah, I like to stay on the
Mhm.
south side of the city. That's
And
what I
see, I'm
usually
the total opposite. I like to
the
stay
north. Yeah.
northwest. Everything I need is up here.
Well, that's the way the city's
Well,
built.
It
You don't
is.
really have to.
I don't live in Texas, but I do prefer the quieter side of town myself. Like where I live in the DC area, but if you look around, you think I lived in the woods because there's nothing but trees around me, and I'm happy with that because
Nah,
if I want
hey,
to go party, I can party. When I want to come home and have peace and quiet, I have peace and quiet.
there's nothing wrong with that. It's
Mhm.
good. You got your peace, and then if you want to go hang out, go hang out. There's nothing wrong with that.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah. I have to go to someplace to hang out.
Not
So,
you got to
yeah,
go to the action.
I have to go to the action. This is true. So,
Oh
uh,
yeah.
so now tell us about your book. Well, tell us about the one you won the award for first. And are
Oh,
the two books connected?
well, it's actually 3 books, so I'll give a quick
Okay.
synopsis. So,
Okay.
the first book was called Blunted on Reality. I wrote that in 2012. Um, I was a big fan of President or former President Obama, so I was
Mhm.
trying to really just write a story of him being his father was Kenyan, and I just wanted to write my own version of it, a version of that time period,
Mhm.
and I wanted to discuss things, being a Nigerian American, just how I felt like it's even though it's still part of the black, I'm black, but then that side of the black experience. And sometimes I mean, now it's a little bit more, discussed and on TV and music, but back then it really wasn't. So I just really wanted to tell my own story. So I really wasn't trying to do anything. I was like, well, let me just write my story of, and it took place around his, the end of 2008 when he won through his first year in office. So I didn't think I was writing anymore. So then, a couple years later, I was like, okay, maybe I'll do a sequel. So the sequel took place in 2012, which was his reelection campaign, and and so it took place with him, and at this time he was married to his best friend, one of his friends from a law school that he married. They had a child. So during that time, I reintroduced. He had an ex-girlfriend that came into the picture that his wife didn't know that they kind of had a thing, and there was a secret from his father. His dad had a child that he didn't tell the family about. So
Sounds
that was
good.
what. So that's what the synopsis of the miseducation of Obi Fani. So Blunt on Reality was more just a celebration of President Obama, his first year, how everybody felt, and just from that perspective. When It All Falls Down was mostly, it takes place in 2020, and they just discuss, it starts uh, actually the day Kobe Bryant died. So I kind of wanted
Mhm.
to write about that beginning of 2020 when things are like, we thought like, wow, this is Kobe died. This is as crazy as you thought it was, just the manner it is. And we didn't know that we had a whole COVID and, racial unrest and presidential election. So, I reintroduced those characters back for that period and just living life during that time. And so that's kind of the synopsis of the third book, When It All Falls Down.
Okay. I have a
That's a
question.
lot of emotion wrapped up into one book.
It is.
Yeah, it was an emotional year for everybody. It was
Well,
an emotional
2020
Oh
was several.
yeah,
You know,
like we all.
2020.
It's crazy, but it was 5 years ago
It
now.
yeah. It 2020 was kind of like the year of 9/11 in that
Yes.
it was like crazy. You know, it was just some stuff happened that you would just never dream would happen. It just
Yeah,
was, a lot of it was negative. But I
Mm-hmm.
forgot that Kobe died. That was it in 2020? Was it like the
yeah.
beginning of
It was the
2020?
beginning. Yeah, it was the
Well,
beginning. It's like January,
okay,
January of 2020. So
okay.
it's like,
I forgot that kind of because it was very shocking.
yeah,
Right. It
To
was.
everyone,
yeah.
and sad, and the fact that his daughter, you know,
Daughter, and
died
then
with him too.
Yes.
yeah,
The whole thing was just sad and shocking.
yeah.
So I have a question about being Nigerian American.
Okay.
Since you were born here, in the United States, do do you still like? There's a big Nigerian community in Houston. Uh,
Uh-huh.
so do you find yourself straddling the two worlds, or do you consider yourself more American than Nigerian, or something else? I'm just wondering.
I think for most of my life, I've been kind of straddling. Where the places we lived. Um, Outside where I was in Richmond, but I left when I was 6, so I was young. But a
Mhm.
lot of the other places were mostly white, and place in Pennsylvania was all white. It was like 96% white. So, and then San
Mm.
Antonio had a black population. So for the most part, till I got to college, I really wasn't around a lot of Nigerians. So I outside
Okay.
of Nigeria was inside of my parents' household. So
Hmm.
when I got to college, I'm like, I'm Nigerian, but I'm black. That's the
Hmm.
black experience. It shaped me. It's who I am. So I guess I always say like I'm in between both. I understand both communities, and I straddle that line because before I was like when I was in college, I didn't feel like I was Nigerian enough. And it's like, well, people are like, hey, do you know how to talk? Do you know all this traditional stuff? I'm like, not really. I was born in
It's
America.
really sad because young black people who grew up maybe in the suburbs who didn't grow up in the hood, they hear that same thing that they're not black enough. And then I have a client who is from Jamaica, and she talks about how often Jamaican kids who are born in the United States and don't have the patois, they are often considered not Caribbean enough or not Jamaican enough. And now hearing you telling that same story, that you're not Nigerian enough, it's kind of sad how we put these parameters on each other.
Yeah, I think it is. And I think when I was younger, because I think people have this cultural thing of what it is to be Nigerian. And I think a lot of it
Right,
is
right.
shaped based off of, my parents, they immigrated here. So they have a different experience and a different
Hmm.
way they see America. Me, I was born and raised here, so being black has always been who I am. Like when I used to tell my parents, they're
Right,
like, "Well, you're Nigerian." I was like, "Mom, look, Dad, these people don't know Nigerian is whatever they think, it is. So as soon as they see you, you're black." So I think culturally, I think we're all trying to kind of find that balance. And that when I was younger, it was tougher. As I got older now, I'm comfortable being in both worlds. So when I was younger, 18, I was like, I wanted to fit into a box. And that's why um, President Obama, his book, really Dreams of My Father, really spoke to me, even though he was half black, half white, but I was looking for identity. Like, okay, am I Nigerian? Am I black American? Like, I thought I had to fit into this kind of box. And then I realized I don't have to fit in the box. I
right,
can like
right,
my Nigerian music, and I can like my hip hop. I can like the food that my parents ate, and I can like my American food, whatever that is. So I felt like, okay, I don't really have to fit into that. And so, that kind of shaped a lot of my writing. Like I wanted to write about being a Nigerian American, but I also wanted to write about just being American and those similar traits. So it's been a thing that's taken me a while to kind of embrace those two identities, even though people think it's like, hey, you're Black, it's all one thing. And I was like, no, because the Black American culture is rich and it has its own identity and its own thing. And even within the Black American culture, there's difference. It depends if you live in the South, in the North, Midwest, so it has its own nuances with food and all of that, So if you're in New Orleans, it has its own thing. If it's Texas, is different. And then like you said, Jamaica, they have their own culture of food, music. Nigerians have their own. So it's a mixture of all these different things. So but I didn't feel like I was Black enough. I didn't know what, like you said, I didn't know what that meant. I just felt like, hey, I'm Black. Like, is there something extra I have to have or an experience? I felt like I had it, but I guess, and maybe it's, something that we're all trying to kind of make up, like this is what it is to be Black. And we're all Black in our own way. It doesn't have to fit into some
we're still
stereotypical box that I think sometimes
we're still individuals.
Yep.
Even though we may fit into a racial group.
Yeah, that's who we are.
So. But we're individual people. So and
yes, that's true.
And how can I say this without sound? You don't look Nigerian, especially. Some people look Nigerian. Seriously. Some people are African and they look African.
But
every just look like a regular brother.
but that is to be Nigerian, because I think if you look at the genealogy, like 25% of Black people in the US came from what was modern day Nigeria. So a lot of people I see like, oh man, they're Nigerian. They're like, nah, man, my parents' family been here my whole life. So we are in essence our tribal, if we break down, we take away the country, we are a part of a certain tribe. There's various tribes that, unfortunately was part of the slave trade. So we all look kind of the same.
That is true. That's true.
Like if somebody didn't know who you were and then they like, okay, and you start talking in Patois or Igbo, people like, oh, I didn't know you was Nigerian. I thought you was Black. So that's the uniqueness of it.
That is true. It's kind of like when I went to New York, not this last time. I went one time for a business trip and I got lost. I was trying to go to a TV station and I had an interview, but I got lost because I took a cab first. The cab the cab circled the block. It took 20 minutes to circle the block. I'm like, I'm going to be late. Let me just get out and walk. So, but I couldn't figure out exactly where it was. And I kept walking up to Black people, asking them an address, and they would speak a different language. They didn't know what I was saying.
They like,
I don't know. I can't help it.
They could have been Dominican. They could have been African. They could have been Puerto Rican. They could have been the various.
Like, oh my God. And then it was going to rain. It looked like it was going to pour down raining. I finally there was a police officer. He was Black on a horse. I said, surely he can speak English. And he told me where to go. I was only like 4 blocks, but I just couldn't figure out where to go. that reminded me of that when you talked about when you meet somebody and you don't know where they're from. But one of my first cousins did our family tree, the genealogy, and on my dad's side, we're more Nigerian. We have Nigerian roots.
See, I just said it. See, so see,
we all have a little African in us. It's just a matter of finding out
where,
which country, which tribe.
Mm-hmm.
I know there was the big year of return when everybody was going to Ghana. Everybody wanted to be Ghanaian.
Yeah, and the thing about it is the thing is, even when we talk about genealogy, a lot of these countries like Nigeria, Ghana, during the slave trade, those countries were, they didn't exist. They were just kingdoms. Like the
Right.
countries were created by the Europeans. So there was just the Yoruba or the Igbos or Asante, the various kingdoms. So it really wasn't. So when people say you're Nigerian, Nigeria has like 250 ethnic groups. So it's more of like it doesn't always
They can't the
say.
genealogy. You can't tell you what tribe you're from. Yeah,
No,
that I
some of them
know
will
of.
tell you like
Can
if you're.
can they?
Yeah, they can tell you the tribe. Some of them are more detailed. They can tell.
Okay.
I haven't
Okay.
taken one, but I know there's people who say they can find out what tribe they're from, and then
Oh
that'll give
wow. Okay.
you. Yeah. So
Okay. I haven't taken one either. So now,
yeah.
are your characters in the book? Are they American? Are they Nigerian American?
Yeah,
Did
they're
they
Nigerian.
mention that in the book? Did
Yeah,
they
and the
talk? Do you
parents.
miss
So
that?
yeah, so it's in the book, and you see the thing, but because the parents are immigrant parents, and you kind of see the dialogue with the parents, especially Obi's
Mm-hmm.
mom, Ijama. She has her own. She's very traditional, very Bible based, religious, and the characters are kind of more laissez-faire. They're not as they consider themselves spiritual, especially, and not really religious. They don't go to church that much. So the mom's like, "Why don't you guys go to church? Why don't you guys do this? Why don't you do that?" So it's just a variation of our society that we are in right now. So, and it could play out in any community, the Black community. It could be the same way. We have as there are people who are very religious and very strict and about their religion, and then there's people who are more like, hey, I'm good, I got what I need, and that's it. So
Right.
yeah,
Okay. Now, did you have another book? Or those are three? Did you have?
those are the only
Those are
three
the
books.
three. Okay. Okay. It was the one, the miseducation one that
Yeah, then
caught
the
my
first
attention.
one was
That was the
Fronting
one you
on
won the
Reality.
prize for.
Yeah,
Mhm. So, what did they have a particular category? Oh, African American fiction. That was what
yeah,
you
yeah,
wanted for. Oh,
yeah,
that's really exciting.
yeah, it
As
was,
an
it was.
author, a new author, fairly new. That was your second book.
Yeah, so it's pretty good. I mean, you just never know. So I mean, I
Yeah.
write to write, people, I put stuff in there, but you just, you really don't know how it works out. And if people give you a claim, that's awesome. But for the most part, the work is, having people read it and say they like it
Yeah.
or hate it.
And that's
That's
the goal of actually reaching your readers and touching your readers. I think sometimes we get caught up in the other accolades, but if you are reaching your target audience and they are receiving your message, then you're successful.
oh yeah, that's how I take it. As long as I get my audience and I reach the people I need to reach,
Hmm.
that's I anything else is like, okay, that's cool. But reaching the audiences is very important to me. So
It is. So, who's your typical reader? Do you know who your typical reader is?
uh it could be it's mostly, unfortunately I gotta the men guys, men, we don't read as much as especially fiction. So it's mostly Black or African women. Those are mostly the readers of the book. Not to say that men don't there aren't
No,
those that
no,
Well,
read.
that's
men read now.
But yeah, but it's just not as most of the platforms I've been on, who have things are mostly women. Not that men don't, but I know men don't
Well,
read a lot
no,
of.
I agree with you, but there is a rise in male book influencers. I've been seeing
Okay,
a lot of them on Instagram and on TikTok where
okay,
they're promoting books,
okay.
they're promoting reading, they're promoting literacy, and I'm here for it. I love watching their videos.
No, I don't have a problem. No, because I know for me, I mean, this book's fiction. I mean, I know a lot of the stuff I read is mostly. I know guys like nonfiction. So
tend to read nonfiction.
I
Mhm.
mostly read
Yeah.
nonfiction. Like
Now
so,
that is true. A lot of guys do like to read nonfiction.
Mhm.
They're
yeah,
like if they're gonna sit down and read, they want to learn something.
yeah,
Yeah,
and
they're
see
not.
and that's how I do my books. Like for me, my book is more like creative nonfiction, you know. So it's mostly it's based off of, I mean, the events in the book are real, the everything is real. It's just I just, you know, put different characters in it, and then, you know, nonfiction gives me more, you know, room to express myself, kind of put certain ideologies out there and through certain characters,
Right.
and, you know, trying to, you know, talk to different people or talk in different versions the way I want to talk through the characters. So that's how I take it. So
Do you have a copy of any of your books handy that you can show
oh,
us?
that's right.
Okay, this is the new one.
Yes,
When
ma'am.
it all falls down.
Yep.
Okay, so that's a family of four, I'm assuming.
Yes,
Well,
ma'am.
maybe I shouldn't assume.
No, it's four.
Okay.
It's four. Yeah, it's a
Okay.
family of
Well, it wasn't the number that I was talking about. It was the family. She could have been the other, the side chick and just shown up.
Well, you know
Can't
what?
do the
In
same
the
thing.
I got the other book. They had that, so I the other book cover has that too. So it has
Okay.
it.
Okay.
Yeah, it has the. I guess I can. Yeah, it has the OB, and then it has his wife, and then it has shot. Her name is Obi. His wife is Nkechi, and then it has the other side is meant to be Sade, which is his
Oh, okay. All right. See,
ex girlfriend. Yeah.
I,
So
I was close. I was on top of
yeah. So that was the second book. So this book is family.
Now, are your books standalone? Are your books standalone, or are they? Do they have to be read in
You
order?
don't have to. I mean, I kind of write it. You know, each book I write, I try to bring the reader up to speed. So usually you don't have to read it unless you just want to go back and get the understanding. But for the most part, you know, the books kind of are they can be read without reading the other one. But if you just want to be like, hey, I want to know the backstory of how did we get here,
Right.
you
Right.
Right.
can go back and read you can go back and read those books as well.
Okay. Well, in our final, really less than a minute, but one of the viewers commented, Tanisha Bennett said that she understands your experience. She's a Panamanian American, and she moved around a lot, and the expectation of living culturally was part of her um, upbringing. So that's something from one of the viewers. So in the end, we all came from somewhere to get to America, and the Black experience is different from everybody else's. So, and I don't think we should let people forget that our experience. We are not immigrants. The way other people immigrate. We're not. Our background is different, but those who do immigrate, they blend right in if they're from a Black country, like your parents. So anyway,
And I think most people do that. Like, I mean, I
Right.
think, you know, and I think as people learn the history, because I think sometimes we are, when people come from other countries that are, you know, predominantly African or Caribbean, race isn't the thing. It's more tribal and stuff. So when they come to America, people's like, you're Black. They're like, whoa, whoa, I'm not Black. I'm this. It's not always
Right. I've
meant
heard
as an
that.
affront to like, hey, I'm not Black. It's like, they don't associate themselves as Black because everybody's Black. So I think
mhm,
sometimes not that's an issue. And then just the history, learning, hey, what is America? What has America been to this? And there's stereotypes of what is Africans, how are they portrayed? What are Black Americans portrayed? So sometimes people think, oh, Black Americans, they're lazy and this and this and this. And that's not the case. Is people have said that, and vice versa with being African. Like when I was African, people were like, hey, do you guys wear clothes? Do people do this? We're like, yeah. So,
golly,
dude,
that was
y'all
just
live in free. And it's crazy people said that. And I was like, and a lot of it was Black people. So, and as a kid, you'll be like, well, why are they saying that? But then you realize it's what people have taught and people learn. And as people get older, they learn, yeah, that there's people who push that narrative. So it's about just us as
Right.
people in the diaspora understanding our differences, but also understanding not trying to break us apart and of that nature. So
Okay, well, we're at the end of our time. So I'm assuming your books are available wherever books are sold.
yes,
And
ma'am.
oh, congratulations on your book
And
series and your award.
I appreciate being on this platform. You guys do a great job of
Thank
highlighting
you.
Black authors from, I didn't see Bakari Sellers on here, to indie authors. So, and I think that's awesome because the Black, there's a wide range of Black writers and experiences,
Yes.
nonfiction, fiction. So awesome work that you guys are doing with this platform and allowing people like me to have this to have this space. So much appreciated to what you guys are doing, and all the best in everything you guys do. So I really appreciate it.
Well,
So a
thank
lot.
you so
Okay,
much for the kind words.
same to
Nah,
you.
I appreciate it. So thank you guys very much.
Okay, good
Thank you.
night.
Have a great
All
one.
right, good night. Y'all take it easy.
You too.